What if I told you the world's most important electric vehicle company isn't Tesla? Not Ford, not GM, not Volkswagen. It's a Chinese company you've probably never driven, but one that now sells more electric vehicles than Tesla worldwide. It's called BYD, and its rise has massive implications for global manufacturing, trade wars, energy security, Canada's auto industry, and the future of electric vehicles. Today, we're breaking down who BYD really is, how it became so dominant so fast, why Western automakers are struggling to compete, and what this means for Canada and the global economy. This story is bigger than cars. It's about power. This is North Amaga. I'm your host, Pierre Shields. Let's dive in. What is BYD? BYD stands for Build Your Dreams. I didn't know. It was founded in 1995, not as a car company, but as a battery manufacturer. While Western automakers were outsourcing batteries, BYD was mastering them. Today, BYD builds electric cars, builds batteries, builds electric buses, builds semiconductors, builds energy storage systems, and owns much of its supply chain. This is vertical integration on a scale the West largely abandoned decades ago. And it's working. In 2023 and 2024, BYD overtook Tesla in global EV sales, became the world's largest EV manufacturer, expanded into Europe, South America, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East, and began pushing aggressively into price-sensitive markets. This isn't hype. This is dominance. How BYD beat the West. The key to BYD's success comes down to three things. Number one, battery control. BYD makes its own batteries, including the Blade battery, which is cheaper, safer, longer lasting, and less dependent on cobalt. Most Western automakers still rely on external suppliers. That means higher costs, less control, and slower innovation. BYD doesn't have that problem. Number two, vertical integration. BYD doesn't just assemble cars. It controls battery production, electronics, power management systems, software, and manufacturing tooling. This allows them to cut costs, scale faster, adapt quicker, and undercut competitors. Again, Western companies outsourced these capabilities decades ago. BYD never did. Number three, state-backed industrial strategy. Let's be honest, BYD did not rise in a free market vacuum. China subsidized EV production, guaranteed demand, controlled raw material access, provided financing, and built charging infrastructure. This wasn't accidental. It was industrial policy, and it worked. But to be fair, Canada has subsidized electric vehicles. Europe has subsidized electric vehicles. It's been happening everywhere. BYD versus Tesla. Here's a comparison. Tesla leads in software, has a strong brand, has high margins, and premium market focus. Has a strong brand. I gotta say the brand's been kind of taking a kick in the teeth since Elon Musk allegedly has been working with the Republicans, allegedly, in my opinion. BYD dominates the mass market, has lower prices, has higher volume, and better supply chain control. Tesla builds great cars. Okay, Tesla built great cars. Actually, not when you listen to the engineering critiques and so on, not so amazing. But okay, let's say Tesla builds great cars. BYD builds cars at scale. It's a big difference. In emerging markets, price beats brand every time, and BYD is flooding those markets. Why the West is panicking. Governments are starting to realize something alarming. BYD doesn't just compete, it overwhelms. That's why the US has massive EV tariffs. The EU launched anti-subsidy investigations. Canada imposed 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, now falling to 6.1%, I think. And Mexico and Brazil are under pressure to block imports, not because BYD cars are bad, but because they're too competitive. Western automakers can't currently match BYD's cost structure without government protection, massive subsidies, or reshoring supply chains. This is industrial warfare, just without tanks. Quick note. So Puppy and I were looking at the YouTube analytics, and Puppy was mentioning to me that not many people are subscribing. There's about, how many, Puppy? 10% of people who watch a video subscribe. And subscribing is free, and it really helps the channel. And Puppy was saying she's a little bit upset. What's that? Not so much upset, she's disappointed, really. So if you want to help, please just subscribe. Thanks. Go play outside. What this means for Canada. Canada is in a tough spot. On one hand, we want affordable EVs. We want clean energy. We want competition. And we want to sell canola. On the other hand, we're trying to rebuild auto manufacturing. We're investing billions in battery plants and we're protecting domestic jobs. BYD entering Canada at scale will undercut domestic EV production, put pressure on wages, and disrupt long-term industrial plans. That's why Ottawa moved quickly with 100% tariffs. But now there's a problem. Tariffs don't solve competitiveness. They just buy time. And time only helps if you use it wisely. Did we use it wisely? The bigger picture. BYD is not just an auto company. It's a case study in long-term planning, state-supported capitalism, industrial patience, and strategic dominance. China understood something the West forgot. If you control manufacturing, you control leverage. Energy, transport, defense, supply chains all flow from that. BYD is a proof of concept. What happens next? Here's what's likely. BYD continues expanding globally. More countries impose tariffs. EV prices fall anyway. Western automakers consolidate and governments double down on industrial policy. This is not a short-term trend. This is the next phase of globalization. Fractured, competitive, and strategic. And Canada will have to decide. Do we build, do we partner, or fall behind? Hopefully for Ontario, we partner, and we also partially build. That would be awesome. Final takeaway. BYD isn't scary because it's Chinese. It's scary because it works. It's efficient, it's disciplined, it's vertically integrated, and it's relentless. The question isn't whether BYD will shape the future of electric vehicles. It's whether Canada and the West are ready to compete in that future. If you want clear Canada First analysis without the spin, subscribe to North of MAGA. Like and share if you value facts over narratives. Comment below, should Canada compete with BYD, build, partner, or block it? Thanks for spending time with me. I'm Pierre Shields from North of MAGA. Go play outside.